Today we're going to speak about very interesting case. When we talk about the champions, we usually see the medals, records, and of course competition attempts. And unfortunately, what we don't see often, it's the preparation itself, the daily structure, volume, fatigue, and decision which athletes made. Today, I want to show you something very rare. I'm happy that I'm related to this case study. It's not an opinion, not philosophy. It's just a fully documented World Championship preparation. I will speak about interactive training log of Ruslan Nurudinov. The only thing that I can add here that this presentation is exactly from the angle coach first and the scientist second. So I will try to speak more about the practical stuff. The big question, why Nurudinov training worth analyzing? My answer is because at least he is a legendary athlete. Everybody call him Uncle Russ. He likes this very much. Every time when I tell him this, he is smiling. Very nice personality, and of course, legendary person who competes on the elite international level. Can you imagine, starting from 2011? So his first senior appearance was in the World Championship in Paris when he won his first bronze medal in clean and jerk for Uzbekistan. And since that time, he is always staying somewhere in the top, mostly winning medals, but always in the top 10. So this is why we're going to speak about this person. He is 34 years old, still competing, still dreaming about Los Angeles 2028, and still lifting at the very decent level. What we will discuss today, we will discuss his preparation for the World Championship 2024. Maybe someone don't know, but he won this competition in the weight class 109 with a result in snatch 182, clean and jerk 242. It was world record, and he did 4 attempts of 6, only 1 successful attempt in snatch and 3 successful attempts in clean and jerk with world record. So this is the result that we got from this preparation. And as we all can assume, this is a very, very solid result. And I'm happy that we can discuss it in details. So one more question, why Nurudinov's training is worth analyzing? Because at least we have it. Because as we know, not so many athletes would love to share this its preparation with all details. More often we have some just parts, or we can see some methodology on the video, or we can ask an interview, but it's not very often when we can see all weeks. And why we call this log interactive? Because actually we have a collection of mostly all his heavy lifts during this preparation. And as a basic statistics, it's 12 weeks, about 60 sessions, number of all exercises that he used during this preparation was over 220. His general amount of failed lifts during this preparation was less than 7%. So we are lucky to see this preparation. Also, why it happened, because I knew personally Ruslan since 2017 when it was Worlds in Anaheim. Since that time, we became close friends. And I'm lucky that I could message him almost every time after his posts, like, why did you do this exercise? Why you made this movement or this decision? And he always responded me with details, with no secret. And once he told me like, oh, I'm so nerd in collection data. I have everything written, all my plans, and I have a lot of videos from my training. And this is how idea was born. I said, let's make interesting product, because a lot of people are interested to see your daily routine. That is why we should do this. Speaking about methodology itself, it's a common question when we speak about the Eastern European training system. What is that? Speaking about Ruslan, I would say that this is blend of Kazakh together with Polish, together with Georgian methodology. Why? Because major coach of Ruslan Nurudinov was Erzhaz Baltaev, the same coach who trained Ilya Ilyin. That is why Rusov from Kazakhstan. But when probably you heard that when Ilya was on his peak, he spent a lot of time in Poland at training camps. That is why the influence of this methodology. And maybe you also heard that in the era of Szymon Kalecki, Polish legendary weightlifter. The consultant of Polish team was coach of Kahi Kahiashvili and Georgi Asanidze. That is why all this crazy combination, it's not just from one book, it's experience of a lot of coaches. And also you can see that I'm mentioning that there is some pods from a Bulgarian picking system, and I will show you examples. And also he is a big fan of crazy exercises. Let's call it in general modern functional training. Speaking about context or everything that I will try to show you today, we will speak about global load distribution, about his exercise system and priorities in training. We will speak about his signature features and about tapering strategy. Having his plan, we group everything in the tables for us to analyze. So we had a group of exercises. We split it in snatch exercises, clean, jerk, respectively snatch and clean pulls and squats. And every week was analyzed by putting number of reps that he did in his specific intensity zones. Then we calculated a number of reps, his absolute intensity and relative intensity from his best competitive result on the Worlds 2024. We calculated load shares, and we had average numbers for his volume, average and relative intensity, and this was key of our analysis to understand: is his training is so special, or it's ordinary, or what's going on? Let's zoom and look at the global picture and then look at the details. What should impress or confuse a lot of coaches and me as well, we can see here that during his 12 weeks, he did around 4,400 reps in general. And what is very strange and interesting, that for main load, it was about 30%, and for accessory load, it was around 70%. So around 70% of his training is general physical preparation. And this what makes his training very special and very interesting. Anyway, he lifted a lot of heavy weights, but a lot crazy amount of GPP. And if we will look at the periods of preparation or block of preparation, here we can see normal picture. The general volume of reps drops from the beginning till the end of the preparation, like in main lifts and accessory as well. But the distribution between main and accessory is very unconventional and very unusual. And all this tendency we can see throughout all his preparation. And if we will look at the basic recommendation from the classical Soviet authors such as Oleksiy or Medvedev, they usually recommend that elite athletes put in the planning for the preparation period something around 1,500 reps. For competition, it's usually something around 1,000 reps. For Ruslan, it's almost 3 times less. We can explain this as his special approach to training because he is older guy, but this is the picture that we can see. And also, as I already said, his general approach to distribution between main and accessory work is 30 to 70. Meanwhile, like in classical resources, we can see that this distribution must be smart, about 65 to 35%. Looking at the main picture of his volume and intensity picture, when I calculated everything and built this graphic, for me it was clear that his preparation was built by someone smart, because it looks like a classical picture of preparation for the competition. Here we can see 12 weeks. What is red, it's volume in main lifts. What is black, it's absolute intensity in kilos. And we can see that it's a classical picture when first 3-4 weeks everything is growing up. So these people who made his program in At Least No Theory of Adaptation by Ganselier, 21-day period, when they grow up, and almost the same picture we can see by the end of the preparation, when 3 weeks in the road, everything is dropping down as a tapering strategy. We will speak about the tapering in details by the end. And in the middle, we have undulating periodization or waving. And if we will compare this picture with the fundamentals from Medvedev book from 1986. It looks very classical. The volume in first and the second period of preparation is going up to third week. Then it drops down, some sort of recovery. In the last 4 weeks of preparation, it just going down as a tapering. And if we will look at the intensity dynamics, it also looks very smart. First, it's growing up. Then in the middle of the preparation, it's some sort of waving, giving athletes room for the adaptation and recovery. And also I will give more details a little bit later that in the middle of his preparation, he had minor hip injury. That is why he had to reduce a little bit intensity and adapt it. But anyway, it also looked very structural and classical. And by the end of preparation, last 4 weeks, he is doing classical tapering. This is what we can say about the global load distribution. Speaking about the exercise system and priorities. So we calculated his load in the classical mode, distribution in snatch exercises, clean and jerk exercises, snatch pulls, clean pulls, and squats. And the classical model that I use and I believe it's this distribution of load during the weeks and period of preparation, when we have around 25-30% in each snatch and clean and jerk exercises, about 10% in pulls, and about 20% in squats. And if we will look at the all periods and total load of Ruslan Nurudinov, we can see that it is a little bit different. He did definitely more loads in snatch exercises and snatch pulls, and it was done by purpose because he is focusing very much on improving his snatch. He's struggling with snatch, having some troubles in the first, second pull, still trying to understand what he lost, because maybe you don't know, but in the age of 21, 22, his best training snatch was 205 kilos, and at Olympics in Rio, I assume he snatched 195 or 196, something like that. And after this, he started to lost his movement, and that is why even in this preparation, he put a lot of volume just to do as many reps as he could to improve it. But it didn't work in at this world, because he was capable to do his opener 182. And in the same time, because he increased volume in snatch exercises, he had to decrease squats load about 5%, but he is lucky because his legs is extremely strong, and also he used different method to maintain strength and intensity without increasing volume. And I will explain you this also a little bit later. Speaking about the distribution between clean and jerk volume, it's also very interesting. We can see it here from classical recommendation. We can meet in most books that it's supposed to be a little bit more on the side of jerk. So good distribution between clean and jerk volume, it's 45 to 55. But in Ruslan's case, we can see that the majority of the volume in this exercise was performed in jerk. And probably this is the explanation why he is world record holder and capable to add 10 plus kilos for his third attempt, go and lift the weight people never lifted before. And also we can see that in the middle of preparation, in the transmutation phase, he did a little bit different picture, but overall distribution 30% for clean and 70% for jerk is impressive in my humble opinion. Speaking about the distribution load between front and back squat, also from the books, we can see that very often there is a recommendation that it's supposed to be 50-50, or volume should be shifted a little bit on the side of front squats. In case of Ruslan Nurudinov, he is doing like that. So almost 60% from his general volume is on the side of front squat, and about 40% for the back squat. But what I would like to add here from myself, that from the history of training and from the history of training of legendary athletes, we know that there are a lot of athletes who used in their training programs only front squats, only back squats, mixing both. And we know a lot of athletes who became legendary doing different approaches. But in case of Ruslan, majority of the load is on the side on front squat, except middle of the preparation, because as I said, somewhere on 7th, 8th week of his preparation, he had a minor hip injury. That is why there he moved load from front squats because it was painful. Now, I would love to slow down a little bit and speak in details about his training features, which impress me most. And probably here you will have the most amount of questions. Let's look at his basic training week. It looked like this. It's unusual for the national team member of Uzbekistan. And this is where coaches should really pay attention. So mostly he done all his main training sessions in the evening, because all Uzbekistan national team doing 2 equal training in the morning and in the evening. But because he is older guy, legendary guy, he said like, okay, I want to train in the evening, and mostly in the morning he done his prehab core training, and he did this work only 3 times per week in the morning. On Tuesday he had a massage. On Thursday and Saturdays all team has a sauna, so all recovery is planned, not just guessed, everything by plan. And also very interesting thing that I love from the methodology of Uzbekistan team in general, on Wednesday and on Saturday they have special theory classes for all team. So on Wednesday, all team sit together. One of national coaches, they prepare a small presentation up to 60 minutes, and they speak about some specific training methods, approaches. They are trying to give national team understanding how the training works. And on Saturday, they discuss and they reviewing what was planned and what was actually done by each athlete, looking at the video, discussing, listening to the opinions of different athletes, just to make this discussion more open and also to give more clarity to athletes what's going on. Looking at his microcycle, we can say that mostly technical mornings, heavy evenings, GPP every day, and recovery is scheduled, as I said. We can see that here in every training, he has 4 or 5, from 3 to 5 obligatory exercises. Usually 1, 2 of them, it's Olympic weightlifting. Everything else is a general physical preparation. Before every training, he is doing a lot of rubber band and activation stuff, which look like that. Usually it takes about 35-40 minutes from the time he entered to the gym to the time that he pick up the bar. So his warm-up routine usually lasts up to 35-40 minutes. And I can confirm that because I filmed that at Worlds Norway. And as you know, at the international competition, athletes usually have just 1 hour to train. And it's scheduled for every national team. So Ruslan took 2 blocks because he was not able to complete his even light warm-up for 1 hour. Speaking about the mesocycle template, I will show you what is the difference between accumulation, transmutation, and realization phases, because it has some differences, but not very critical. And let's look on this as well. It's only template. I will show you details a little bit later, but usually the amount of exercises that he is doing during week 1 till week 4, he never combined snatch and clean and jerk in one session. He only combined snatch and clean and jerk in one session starting from the week 9. From week 1 till week 8, snatch and clean and jerk in separate days. So during the first block of his preparation, usually it's 2 snatches, mostly not classical. It can be only 1 classical snatch, competitive snatch per week. Everything else will be block variation or fit variation, simple grip power or squat snatch. And also because he's struggling with the overhead position, it can be 2 snatch, overheads, recovery, squats, push presses, and so on. And speaking about the clean and jerk, in this period, it will be 1 complex push press. I'll show you what does it mean, and 1 complex clean and jerk. Regarding the pulls, only 2 pulls per week. It can be specific snatch pulls from different position or with accessory devices, and 1 specific clean pull or deadlift. Same as we can see about the squats. 1 or 2 squats, and it can be or complex front or back squats. When we jump to the week 5 to week 8, he cuts his pressing and static snatch holds, and it will be 2-3 snatches, 1 heavy competitive snatch, and everything else will be in the range. Heavy means over 85%. Everything else will be in the range 70-75%, and it can be variations such as contact muscle snatch, simple grip, no feet from hip position. In clean and jerk, it will be 1 heavy clean and jerk, and everything else will be or complex clean and jerk, or rug jerk, or push jerk. In pulls and squats, it doesn't change too much. And when we go to the last phase of preparation, here the only thing, we almost will not see any changes in snatch training, but in clean and jerk, it will be only 1 heavy clean and jerk per week, 1 push press complex. And in this preparation, he made more snatch pulls. 2, 1 was heavy, 1 was more technical, and 1 normal clean pull as we used to do. And he cut amount of squats just till 1 squat per week, and it was or front or back squat. This is how his mesocycle looked like. So what we can conclude about his mesocycle progression, that across those phases, the number of exercise doesn't explode. Definitely intensity rise, but in the wave approach, and the volume shifts, but the structure remains pretty stable. And one interesting thing that appears in the last part of preparation, it's the things that they call attacks. Good question. What is this? Because I heard this word from the coach of Ilya Ilyin. For us, it's more familiar as a wave training, but it looks a little bit different. So attack concept in the training of Ruslan Nurudinov, it's repeated high-intensity waves, mostly to prime central nervous system, to help athlete to feel the competitive environment. This you can see like a good example of attack training for Ruslan Nurudinov. First, when he did the warm-up for 100, 130, 150, and 165 doubles and snatch, which is kind of big jumps. And after this, he did only singles for 170, 175. Then he dropped down to 170 and go up for 170 and 180. And he practiced this attack training not only in snatch and clean and jerk, but in different exercises as well. Yeah, let's look at this particular attack, how it looked like. So it was 70. It was 75. Beautiful. Then 70 again. In my opinion, it looked very impressive. Just to give us more understanding, in snatch and clean and jerk, he is doing attack only with singles, but in squats and pulls, which is very interesting in my opinion, the attacks is expanding under using rep manipulation. And we can see this as an example from his training for back squats and clean pulls. In back squats, we can see warm up for 120 to 200 and 240, and then growing up with the weight, but cutting number of reps. 250, triple, 260, double, 270, single, then drop down, and again 250, 260, and 280 as a single. And looking at his preparation for the Worlds, this is the schedule how he done his weight training. Let's say during this 4 weeks, he did 11 training in the different exercises, and he didn't start immediately from snatch and clean and jerk. He did a different combination. So we can see on the week 7, it was 3 attacks on Monday for snatch pull. Then he did snatch and clean pull. So first he did waves in snatch, then he did in clean pull, not in clean and jerk, but let's say half of clean and jerk. Next week, more intensity. The plan was to do 4 attacks, but he didn't do attack and clean and jerk because it was hip pain, but snatch, pull, back squat, and snatch. Week 9, it was the week where he had to drop down a little bit intensity to save his body and not to injure himself. So it was 1 attack, but by the last week before they began final tapering, it was 4 attacks. So front squat, heavy snatch, heavy clean and jerk, and clean pull. I would say that for elite athletes, it works very nice from the perspective of the building this competitive vibe when you have to go back and forth, putting more or less weight on the bar. And also I would add information that Ruslan always trains with the heart rate monitor, and he regulates his rest intervals. So as soon as heart rate dropping down up to 100 BPM, he is doing his attempt, and he is trying to rest not more than 3 minutes. And this is also how he is trying to hold him warm and in the good training shape. The next block that I would like to talk with you is his specific training methods in main lifts, and interesting stuff that he applies. It's using resistant bands in the very unusual mode, using a lot of eccentric in his squats, use paused lifts, no feet exercises, which is kind of famous in modern Olympic weightlifting training, and crazy mixing of all this stuff. And I will show you exact videos of these exercises, and I hope you will like it and you will use it, because for me some of them very, very impressive. And also when I asked Ruslan why he is doing this, was his answer. I will just conclude all this quote, that I believe that as we get older and experienced as coaches or athletes, we realize something important, that we can't just add weight forever. Yeah, we have this limit, but in the same time, when we are looking for the progress, we need to look for a new way to do it. And he believes, as you can see here, that complexity keeps brain, central neural system engaged. And when you do 75-80% with pause or in the centric mode, it can feel heavier than 90% without one. For me, it was gold to hear from him, and because it was not just an assumption. To hear this from this caliber of athlete, it was gold, because he proved this as his working training methods. So let's look at some interesting things. The thing that I like a lot, he used this mostly throughout his preparation, it's a banded snatch pull. So one of his weaknesses is not controlling the bringing bar to himself in first and second pull, and that is why, with the assistance of his partner, he is trying to emphasize on engaging lats and using a rubber band during the snatch pull. Also, he used this in deadlifts, in clean pull from block position, just to add more engagement and control of upper back. Eccentric front squats he used throughout week 1 and week 3. It looks killing, let's say like this. When you go down with 220, trying to decelerate this movement, and you understand that the bar is happy, but you are not. But this is what helped him to set a world record. So someone can hate this, but this is the method that deliver world records. Post push press used a lot. I like this. Pause in the deep. I'm not sure if you can hear sound from the video. If you can hear, it's nice. You can't. Okay, so I will shut down, because he is screaming, and it adds more emotion how he suffers. So it's 170 for double, pause, push, jerk. Look at the duration of the pause in the dip. Impressive, yeah, and fight until the end. The next one, the things that probably will not surprise you, but he is doing this a lot. No feet variation in push, press, and snatches. Useful exercises for athletes of all level. But look how precise he controlled his extension. Also, it was fail in snatch. I added some lifts when he failed just to show that he is not perfect. And athlete has its own flaws and bad days, but it's fine. As soon as you go on the platform and clean and jerk world record in the third attempt. Mixing all these methods on your left, 190 kilos on the bar, pause clean and jerk, pause in clean on the knee level, pause in deep in jerk. Perfect perfection. And very nice and killing stuff. Front squat plus back squat plus post back squat, 245 kilos. So front squat, immediately putting on the racks, taking it from racks, and ready to fight. And pay attention, he is always emphasized on eccentric phase. Pause. Here he screams so loud. In his general physical preparation, he used, I believe, something around 100 different exercises. So we are not able to look at all of them, but I will show you the things that also impressed me. And if we will group it, it is banded exercises, unilateral exercises, and exercises for torso stability and combo of them. Exercise that he does a lot. Australian pull-ups, which you probably know, but banded. So to emphasize more on stability of his T-spine. And discussing with him his weaknesses, he said that my clean is not perfect because it's perfect. It's because I just put a lot of effort. Very nice exercise. Dumbbell row on the hyperextension on GHD machine. And I remember when I sent this log for analysis to one of the speakers of this summit, Chris Tabor, he said, when I saw this exercise, I immediately remember that I have one of my athletes who always struggle with clean catch because his T-spine collapsed. And we incorporated this immediately. And in 3 weeks, the clean became way better. Also very interesting with the kettlebell, laying on the bench and engaging upper back, core, and unilateral exercises. Maybe you saw this one from the Squad University Instagram account because he posted it, and this exercise impressed Mr. Aaron. And this exercise Ruslan is doing 2-3 times per week, also to make his torso stable, especially in receiving position when he is flying under heavy weight during the catching position and split. I believe this exercise is more or less familiar to the practical coaches, press and split position with the weights on the rubber band. Also an option that can be here, after pressing, you can do split overhead squats. And also one option that you can do is you can alternate pressing from your shoulders and behind the neck. Also good stuff, because when you do from your front rack position and then from behind the neck, plates start to swing not only like this, but also like that. And it compromises your torso so much and forces you to train hard. And you can see that this is the person who did jerk from rack to 50. He working with the empty bar and only 10 kilos plates. So it's really challenging. Last block, it's a tapering strategy. Tapering, usually we count something starting from 5 till 3 weeks before the competition to understand how we work with the big weights to prepare athletes, because tapering, it's not the rest, it's precision preparation for your main competition. And here we will zoom this part, and I will put all heavy weights that he did prior his competition week. So on the week 12 on Saturday he competed, and this is the major heavy weights that he did. So nothing else big during this period he didn't do. Everything else was in the range of 70-75%. The heaviest snatch, 190 kilos, was 5 weeks before the competition, as well as heavy snatch pull. His only one rep for his heaviest back squats, 280. So once again, I will remind all of us, 242 kilos clean and jerk on World Championship. The heaviest back squats that he did was 280 for the back squats, and it was 260 for the front squats, all singles, nothing else. On the week 10 and 11, it was twice in wave snatch, 180 kilos, almost 100%. The heaviest clean and jerk of this preparation was 230 kilos, 3 weeks before the competition. He also did attempt on the week 7 for the jerk from rack to 50, but he failed it. So he did successfully to 30 and then jumped onto 50. He failed. And two weeks before the competition, also he done 210 clean and jerk, 87%. He kept heavy snatch pulls up to 200 kilos on the 2 last weeks, just to feel this movement, because he was afraid too much about his snatch. And we can see that 2 weeks before the competition, it was front squat and clean pulls for singles around 100% to 135 kilos. And on the competition week, I will remind you that he competed on Sunday. On Monday, he did snatch 160, clean and jerk 190. On Tuesday, he did front squat 230 for single. On Wednesday, he did 200 kilos single snatch pull. Then only warm-ups, went on the stage and kicked out this worlds. So this is also a video of his heaviest back squats, 270 and 280 for singles, just to give you understanding that it wasn't like super easy light, like with no problem. Look at this, 270 and 280. This is 270. So it's kind of challenging, not super light. This is one 270. And this is 280 kilos. And after this, he felt that he is ready to do 140 plus clean and jerk. As a conclusion of this preparation, this is how his competition warm-up looked like, a little bit longer in snatch, with only one successful opener. And in clean and jerk, you can see 4 warm-up attempts, 120, 2 sets, 60, 90, 210, and 223 on the platform. And he said that after 223, that I already understood that I am capable today for 240 plus. Key takeaways for coaches. Who is this for? I believe that for advanced lifter and people with a strong recovery system, they can take the parts of this program just in examples. Who is this not for? I believe not for beginners, intermediates, and copy-paste thinkers. And also, I would like to quote one of my colleagues who always say that the most dangerous coach in the world, it's a coach who came back from education course. Because the next day after he came back, he wants to try everything that he heard on his team. Because like, okay, combo, eccentric, together, let's go now. And by the end, attacks, and then everything with the rubber band. I would say as a coach, as a practical coach, that this preparation is very unconventional, but extremely logical in my opinion. And it's very valuable for us as for coaches just to learn how it happens and how it was done in real life. And in my opinion, that the biggest lesson of this preparation, it's not exercises or volume and intensity itself. It's just respect for individuality. I would love to invite all of you visit our website torokhtiy.com. If you love this information, you can get also this log with a discount by using my promo code. Feel free to join our social media. I'm done. Peace and love. I'm waiting for your questions.